Hey everyone, just doing another video today. So Aaron messaged me and asked how I get my breathing technique down. So I think you mean the circular breathing technique. And I know there are a lot of videos of people explaining how to do circular breathing. And I figured since I'm pretty new on the journey here with less than about a year of doing it, it might be good to get my perspective mixed in with perspective uh, David Yates. Like he's the one that kind of brought me through a lot of the circular breathing. But I imagine David's been doing it for a long time, so I find maybe just my beginner take on it might be helpful. Big props to David. I had a couple conversations with him online, and just the energy he brings to this group and setting up the group, like just big love for that, brother. And I hope to see you sometime in Vancouver. So yeah, I got my plastic didge here today. So ABS didge, small mouthpiece, like we talked about before. And I got to be honest with you, Aaron. I watched a lot of videos from didgeridoo players explaining how to do the circular breathing, and it wasn't until I watched this professional saxophone player explaining how to do it that it really kind of clicked for me. And when it clicked, it happened in 3 days. And all of a sudden I was doing it regularly, and I remember at one moment I woke my wife up. I was lying there beside her, just kind of practicing the breathing. Like you don't need a didgeridoo in front of you to practice it. You can just kind of work on it. And anyways, I was super excited about learning. She was just let me sleep. So yeah, the saxophone player, he really went to the straw and the water technique, and there's probably didgeridoo players that have shown that before, but I don't know, something about the classical scientific breakdown from a pro sax player really did it for me. And I got that glass of water with a straw in it, and I just started making bubbles and blowing back, and that's really how I got it. And then it came with the didgeridoo, a lot of practicing the droning, and the thing about it is if you're doing it with just the straw, it's you're just breathing through a straw, which is super easy. But then if you're trying to do it with a didgeridoo, then you're also learning how to keep the drone connected at the same time. Because when I first started, I remembered it was super hard to keep the drone from ticking out, ticking in, ticking out, ticking in. And even now, after a year and a bit of playing, it's not such a smooth transaction when it comes back in, when it switches from my diaphragm pressure to my cheek pressure and then back to my diaphragm pressure. It's not so smooth for me yet, and I just look with so much gratitude for the people who can do that with that, for setting that example. But just more practice, I think we'll get it there. So yeah, I feel with the breathing, what came for me is how can I just relax into this as much as possible. If anybody's ever done judo or jiu-jitsu and you're ground fighting, that's a really big thing too. How can I just relax as much as possible into this position instead of fighting it or using muscles that I don't need to use and getting things in the way. So geez, I don't know, I'm gonna put a didgeridoo up to my mouth and see if I can explain what's happening. So you can see that when my cheeks puff out, that's when my air is coming in, because I've cut off this diaphragm at the back of my throat here that allows me to take air in without affecting the air pocket that's in my mouth. And then that air pocket in my mouth there's a pressure with my cheeks. The cheeks have been trained to hold a tension in and that tension out. And that's just going to take practice and time before that can happen. And so I'd recommend the best way to learn things is break it down into smaller and smaller steps. And when a step is too big, it's what can I do to break that down even smaller, and then break those small steps into goals and rewards for when you actually you get it, so you can be stoked about that. So I mean, if I was just learning, I probably would use the didge for getting the drone going and be happy with the drone sounds I can make. There's breathing techniques you can do that'll get you to breathing for 2 minutes. You can hold your breath for. yeah, maybe I'll do another video on how to do that, a 2-minute breath hold, so you can like really crunch down and like play didgeridoo for 2 minutes straight. I mean, yeah, even with my spiral ditch, sometimes it's hard for me to get going with 2 minutes, even with circular breathing. So where to go from here? The techniques that I used was like just kind of like lying there and going to bed, and like this is like without the straw. I mean, maybe it's easier to use the straw at first, but I'm just breathing out. Oh yeah, and I kept my cheeks, I leave them out for that. Like it wasn't until like later that I learned to like bring my cheeks in. So when I play the didge, I've got enough back pressure that like I feel comfortable bringing my cheeks in. But like when I first started playing, I don't know if I can do it. So I'm leaving my cheeks out the whole time there. So I think it's easier to start with the cheeks out full time and then pull them in, like, you know, just learning one thing at a time. So when I'm doing this with just my mouth, I'm going. So as long as my cheeks are out and there's air pressure coming out of my mouth, like it's always going to be consistently flowing. Like the hole that I create will always have air flowing out of it as long as those cheeks have some tension on them. So that's a way of breaking it down to steps. So Aaron, I hope that's helpful, and thanks so much for messaging me and asking, and I hope that, yeah. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a beautiful day wherever you are.